Hello, everybody. Tobin here with you. Look, man, I had a frustrating day with the technological side of things. I do want to let you know, typically you guys can watch my radio show with Leroy Horde every single day on twitch.tv/7ticket. We were down. Unfortunate day to be down on that. And so I'm going to try and get you guys some clips from today's show. The whole archive show is not there for you to watch. I apologize. I would say this is a good day. If you like our radio show, go and subscribe to our podcast, Tobin and Leroy, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever podcasts are available. You guys can go listen to it, all 4 parts, and check us out there. Full recap and recount of everything that went down in the game. And, we should be back up and running and be back with the YouTube clips tomorrow. Full go in preparation for Game 5 in the Heat's house. I'll be boots on the ground. Although I will say I'm dreading a Game 7 because my boots will not be able to be on the ground for a potential Game 7. It's my daughter's 10th birthday. So we got a party going on there. I got to find some way to sneak a screen in there without my wife wanting to divorce me. But she knows what it is. I'm not going to be able to be boots on the ground though. I can't miss my kid turning 10. I got to draw the line somewhere for some things. And that's a big one to me. But nonetheless, enough of the sentiment. So let's get to the real issue. I gave a lot of the things that I wasn't too bothered about in the last video and kind of my game recap because I thought Game 4 was a good game. Game 3 was definitely demoralizing in a lot of ways because you have a chance to really put the death blow on a team, and you're like, you feel like, okay, they definitely got to be feeling froggy. But and also, they got to win that game. Like it's like, your stars coming back, your role players are hitting 7 from downtown. Like, it sucked because I don't feel like they were really ever in that game outside of a little bit of a Jimmy Butler run. Didn't feel real. Like nobody showed up for Jimmy Butler that night. Game 4 felt like he got a little bit more support, especially from Bam late in that game. But again, it was a lot of Jimmy Butler and nobody else. And quite frankly, the biggest issue of this is with Kyle Lowry and the status of his health. So much focus has been put on Joel Embiid in this series, and I get it. He's the bigger star. He's the MVP candidate. But in a lot of ways, like, Joel Embiid can still run around. Even with the thumb injury, remember, that Bam had, he was still able to condition. He kind of came in, dropped out of the sky, and was pretty fine right away. It's not like Bam needed a big ramp-up coming back from the thumb injury because he was able to stay in condition. And with Joel, it's a little different because he had the head injury and the concussion. But, he's not like it's not like this up and down motion. He kind of gets to play at his own pace. And, as long as the mask keeps him protected, it doesn't feel like that's going to impede him in any way from a gas tank standpoint. But Kyle Lowry, his movement is just very noticeably different. I mean, he's hobbling up and down. He was the last game, didn't seem like he had the burst, and then this game was super noticeable. Like, first of all, just has nothing on his shot. Doesn't feel like he has any legs. The burst to the rim is not there. He has, he had a couple of steals, a couple of deflections to force some things. Also had some crappy turnovers as well. And I think the Heat have a real question on their hands is what to do with him. Now, it may be taken out of their hands because he didn't play the last 9+ minutes of the game yesterday, re-injuring that hamstring. Is he going to be back? I don't know. This is a tough one. We saw with the Suns and Devin Booker, he had the hamstring thing to deal with. With Kyle, he talked early on like, I'm a Wolverine. I'm going to come back, no problem. And now it's just like it definitely feels like something that's pretty significant because talking the Heat probably got him, 10 days or something like that of him just being able to rest and get situated and all that type of stuff. And they got the 2-0 series lead. All right, boom. He's coming back for Game 3. And maybe they should have sat in that game. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to play hindsight 2020 on that. But he looks very, very hampered by it. And I would say for him, I don't know if he'll be back this series, and I don't know if he should be back this series. I really don't. If he does, dude, I mean, that's professional athlete, more of a man than I'll ever be with what he currently looks like. But he just doesn't look like he's helping the team right now. He's still able to get 7 assists yesterday, so that vision's still there, and he was able to, and he's able to still get guys involved. But like at some point with some of these pick and rolls, you got to have the ability to go knock down some shots and being willing to shoot those shots. And that I just don't think we see from him. I don't think we see a guy who's willing to go in there and, for a whistle where guys could have gotten to the free throw line last night. We didn't get a lot of that from Kyle. It was pretty much just Jimmy and Depot. The question really becomes then, though, like, where do they go in that situation? Do they just go back to Gabe Vincent and give him the starting role? I would guess and venture to guess that's probably where they would go, is just go PJ Butler, Gabe Vincent, Bam Adebayo, and Max Strus. The only, is the other option going to Vic and giving Victor Oladipo the starting nod and Gabe Vincent stays on the bench? Or do you like the idea of bringing in Victor Oladipo, kind of dispel Jimmy, and have those moments where he can kind of create on his own and play well with Tyler and be that stopper in the wing, and then you'll see what the closing lineup is. I mean, the way it's going with Vic, he'll probably end up closing for you. And then I doubt that they're going to take Tyler here out of his 6-man role and put him there. But yeah, it's a real issue. Look, like Kyle Lowry was paid a lot of money to come here. And this is the Kyle Lowry soft thing. It's just kind of a status of where the team is. Like, he's a big part of their salary cap. And looked like before the playoffs, like Kyle Lowry looked like he was really, really rounding into form. Like, he didn't have a fantastic series against the Atlanta Hawks by any means. But when they were rounded into the season, Kyle looked like he was really getting his shot together, and it took him a while. Like, Kyle Lowry had his own little shooting slump that he was going through this year. Now, he also had the time where Jimmy was out, like he was really quarterbacking this team and really handling things. Especially, there were times where Jimmy and Ben were both out, and Kyle was handling things. They got to win in Phoenix with Kyle Lowry, Strus, and Omer Yurtseven. Like, he's pretty special when it comes to getting these guys involved and upping their confidence. But right now, it just kind of looks like if he's not getting the call on a fall over or something like that, it doesn't feel like he's got the burst or the punch to do anything right now. And I think at worst, you probably got to sit him game 5. Maybe then he'll be ready for a game 6. But then you got to think about, is the Heat's flow interrupted at all because Jimmy was kind of put into that facilitator role the first couple of games? Or is the best thing, like, you got to try and go win this series without Kyle Lowry, and then maybe he'll be back for the Eastern Conference Finals if you make it there? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Or do you have a scenario where he sits the week, and then maybe we're talking about a week-to-week thing where he actually can get off until Sunday, and then is he going to be all the way conditioned? It's a tough question. I really do think the Heat are in a tough conundrum here with what to do with him, because do you play Kyle Lowry, who's not all the way there, or do you go to a spot where you're going to maybe a player you don't think is as good in Gabe Vincent? Now, I know there's a lot of Gabe Vincent truthers out there that think he's better than Kyle Lowry. Like, they just they like the tenacity that he brings, the shot making that has improved with him, the straight up balls that he has to shoot some of the threes that he shoots. But I think for me, and I know Gabe's coming off a bit of a struggle, like, I think that is pretty much where we're going to be headed for game 5. He's coming to Miami treatment, but just kind of getting the gauge off of what people were saying after the game, Spo's tone of it, Kyle's tone of it. And Kyle's, let me see what his exact words were, something to the effect of, we got to see what it is. And he's never dealt with an injury like this before. So he's dealing with his own type of thing. Lowry, let me get his exact quote after the game. Put it this way, you don't want to play with it, but we're in a situation in the playoffs. We're in a hostile environment. We're in this together no matter what, just trying to be out there for my guys no matter what the situation is. It's tough time for a hamstring. I've never had a soft tissue injury. The goal is to be out there. So if you're asking me, am I going to try and play? Yes, I'll be trying to play game 5. But Jimmy said after the game, I appreciate him. We all do. The fact is that he wants to play, wants to compete, and he knows our best chance of winning is with him on the floor. We understand that, but also we want our guy to be safe, and we always have more than enough to win. We always say that, and we do believe it. So which kind of is telling me, like, I appreciate, and we know they're close. Like, listen, the reason Kyle Lowry's here is because of Jimmy Butler. But I also think that Jimmy Butler's probably looking at the guy and be like, am I better off with this guy on the floor right now? I don't think he's being malicious about it, but I think that that's a big concern Jimmy probably has to have. Like, am I in a better spot if Kyle Lowry is playing right now for the Miami Heat? Or because they are so well-rounded when it comes to playing without Kyle Lowry. And hell, they just did it for, 4 straight playoff wins starting without him. They won 4 straight without him. And some may say, hey, well, this is a different team. This is a Sixers different beast. I give it to you. Yeah, a Sixers team with Joel Embiid and James Harden both functioning, definitely a tougher test than a Sixers team without Joel Embiid and a Hawks team, that's a Hawks team. So I get it. It's a bigger challenge. Don't get me wrong. But the question is having Kyle Lowry hampered by this hamstring just because he's out there going to have you in a good spot? Because some of the things that Kyle Lowry brings, yeah, he can get everybody in their spots, but he's also a guy who pushes the pace, chucks the ball down the field, tries to play with a little bit of chaos, gets those steals. We saw it yesterday, tried to get those steals, go on the fast break, had to, and those seem like they really, really affected him. So I don't know, man. I think that the play here is, at least in game 5, I think they got to try and go without him. I think that that's probably the smart way to go, unless there's some miraculous healing. But I'd say we've already seen what happened the last time around. He was out for a couple of weeks, basically. And now this time around, I can't imagine it's going to be that quick a turnaround. And I would hope that the Heat look at this and be like, hey, man, if Kyle Lowry can't nail 3-point shots, he can't get to the rim at all, and all he's there for is a couple dishes under the basket to Bam, I get it. He's a savant and he's a great floor general, but I do feel like Gabe Vincent can kind of bring that to the table for you. I really do. Maybe there's not the 30-point ceiling game that Kyle Lowry could probably have at his peak, and maybe carry a game for you, because we've seen games where Kyle Lowry can get super hot and he can carry you. But I don't know if he can on one leg. I don't know if he can hampered by that, because all these injuries around on the other side of things with the Sixers, especially with Joel Embiid, that's not a movement thing. That's obviously a discomfort thing, and that's maybe a sensitivity thing that he has to deal with. But in the end of it, Joel Embiid can kind of grit and bear it. With Kyle Lowry, I mean, if you can't move, you can't move. So it's a really tough thing, and I would say that the Heat are probably going to err on the side of he's not playing. But I guess we'll end up seeing what that is. I do think they can win without him. I really do. I think that Jimmy is right. I think that as far as a piece we're concerned, if you were to lose Bam, screwed. Obviously, you lose Jimmy, screwed. If there was one of your top 3 highest paid guys I think they can weather the storm with, it's Kyle. I think that they could do that, especially with the emergence of Vic, what he's brought to the table, with how capable Gabe Vincent has shown himself to be. And you need a big step up from Tyler. I talked about this last video, but I really believe that. If Tyler steps up and scores the way he's capable of scoring, I think they can withstand the storm. It's not like the Sixers not having Joel Embiid and they're throwing DeAndre Jordan out there. Gabe Vincent comparatively is not that much of a disaster starting at point guard for you as it would be for the Sixers having Joel start at center. If Bam was out and you had to start Big Yurt, okay, I'd be a little bit. I'd definitely be pooping my pants a little bit. But this is the guy I really do feel like if Miami doesn't have him, I still think they can win this series. But definitely need improvement from Tyler, and definitely need Gabe Vincent to show what he's capable of doing, what he has been capable of showing all year. But this is it's a bummer, no doubt, because this is the guy that was supposed to take some of the burden. Jimmy's had a lot of it, defensively, scoring wise. You would like to think, all right, I also don't have to get my teammates involved and set them up, but he may have to. I mean, it may be like 2020 Finals Jimmy, where he's called upon to do a little bit of everything. And I think in a game like this, coming back home, man, you're hoping the shooting is better. You're hoping that you do get a little bit so he doesn't have such a scoring burden, because that I think will open things up. I think he's very open. It's not typically the way he wants to play. He likes where he can kind of do a little bit of everything, disperse the wealth, share the wealth a little bit scoring wise. But this series is the last 2 games is called for him to basically be Herculean, and Hercules was not enough to get a win in either one of those games. So they need more from their other guys, and unfortunately, it doesn't sound like it's going to be Kyle Lowry.